Hello and welcome to the D3 podcast. I am your host, the one, the only Sandman himself. Yes, the greatest fish of all time. Joined, of course, with the one, the only Laker forever KOB. What's good? What's good? That LA rating over there, is that what I see? Dang.
I can't get it.
Dang. How's it going? My guy?
It's good. I'm ready to talk about some trades.
Trades. That's oh damn! I didn't plan for that. No, of course I planned for that. That's ridiculous. We are bringing back buy or sell. John and Matt once again. Since this is buy or sell trade edition, we did trade both of them because I got too excited and fantasy basketball just traded John to Dallas for a can of corn and Matt for $1. We're still both pending charges, so we might just give them away for free. Good thing we weren't paying them either, so. It's good, right? It's good for us. So let's get into this. I think the biggest notion here is, do you think Lonzo Ball will be a New Orleans Pelican by trade deadline?
I do not. I am buying on this take that he will be sold. He will be traded before the deadline.
Okay.
I think. As much as I like him, actually now I'm kind of second guessing myself. I think either him or Brandon Ingram will be sold before the trade deadline. I think the Pelicans need to make a big move. I think you made a good point on the last episode about him or Lonzo and Zion are a better duo than Brandon Ingram and Zion. Not in the sense of scoring, obviously, but in the sense of like chemistry and play style and things like that. So I think if they can get trade Brandon Ingram for someone good that would fit with that style of play more, I think that works. But I think realistically they'll probably trade Lonzo instead and try and get someone else. So I am buying on that, I think.
Okay. I think I'm also going to have to buy. Lonzo has been balling out. Like as soon as the trade rumors came out, like he just started dropping 28 points a game, which has been nuts. That doesn't happen. And I think we're seeing more of what Lonzo should have been over the past 2-3 years. And I think it's finally showing. And I don't know if that's the motivation kicker at that point. But the New Orleans Pelicans need to do some real shakeup because they have all these draft picks, and I don't think they're going to keep most of them realistically because, you can only draft so many players in front of a team, and with Zion being the face, I don't know. Is Zion the face? Because for me, it seems like Brandon Ingram's the face, and I think that's my biggest thing is that if you draft the most generational player, he has to be the face at this point. And go ahead.
I think Zion's the face, but Brandon Ingram's the carry. Brandon Ingram is the one who gets all your points and gets all your things like that. Granted, I shouldn't say that completely. Zion has been scoring a lot more this year, but he's not consistent in other aspects of his game. So I think Brandon Ingram is the better all-around player. And again, still your carry for the team. So I think they gotta either invest more in Zion, make him a better all-around player, maybe help him out defensively a little bit, or put all of your kind of time and energy into making Brandon Ingram your face. You got to choose. I don't know. They can have both the way they want to. And I think to your point, I think they have a lot of picks that they can do a lot with. I think they have a lot of trade value that they can use for someone good.
So who do you think right here, right now, who is the best Pelicans player on this team?
The best player, Brandon Ingram, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Confirmed. And see, that's my biggest issue is that should not be the name that comes up for me. For me, it has to be, when you think of the Memphis Grizzlies, which I know is a different comparison in some factors, when you think of the Memphis Grizzlies, there's only one name that registers, right? It's Ja. It can only be Ja. Dallas, it's Luka. You don't even. I forgot KP existed at that point, and that's crazy because KP was really good talent with the New York Knicks. But for me, the Pelicans, the only thing that clicks is disaster. There's nothing good about that team, and there's a lot of good pieces that don't actually work well together. And I genuinely think that Brandon Ingram Zion is actually not that great of a duo because they just play so polar opposite to each other's game that it's actually detrimental to their win ratios at this point. So moving forward, do you think the Nets do make a big trade for a defensive guy?
I'm actually selling on this. I don't think they do. I think they keep running the small ball and try and keep this, just keep building on the chemistry that they have. I think we saw it works with certain teams, especially it worked against Clippers really well. Granted, I think that's a team that doesn't have a strong big man to begin with. So I think if they were going against someone like the Sixers, that would be tough. So maybe they trade someone just to handle someone like Embiid, but I don't know. I think they want to kind of chill and just keep the lineup as is and build this team out and make improvements on each player that they have.
Okay. I think they're gonna. I'm gonna buy on this. I think they are gonna trade for something because I think this is actually like a very. I don't know if it's not necessarily win now, but I think it's coming off as that, right? You're trading for some of the top, 3 of the top 10, top 15 players in the NBA. That's crazy talent. And sadly, no one knows how to play defense on this roster, which is nuts because you think for superstar talent they'd be more all around, but they clearly don't have that. They don't have that in their belt. And I think the trade piece they're going to use is probably going to be Spencer Dinwiddie. Granted, he is coming off injury. I think they can still get him. They can probably short sell him and get at least another big to fill up the roster because the only center they have on roster is DeAndre Jordan. We know that this guy is not good playing basketball. But maybe going along your lines, maybe they should just run it back, just keep running it with the small ball roster because I think it is, like you said, I think it's just a lot of gear that just need to start meshing together to actually kind of take out the kinks of it all. But I'm going to buy it because I think that the defense has been concerning for what we call a superstar team. It's like their wins and losses their wins are very close and the losses have been pretty bad in a lot of cases just for missing one player and for having like a James Harden and Kevin Durant. Like you shouldn't be losing those kind of games like that. So speaking of losers, Victor Oladipo had made it clear that he didn't want to come to Houston. He doesn't want to be in Houston long term. Maybe it changes. They have a 12-10 record, very surprising of the Houston Rockets. I don't think any of us thought that they were going to win this trade. Do you think, with all those comments and with the Rockets' success, do you think Victor Oladipo is going to be traded out of this just to try to get high trade value, or do you think they're going to ride with him for longer?
I think it's a good move to trade him out. I think he, like you said, he has a high trade value. I don't think he's a perfect fit for Houston. I think he's good, but I think he'd be a lot better of a fit at other teams. So I think they trade him out, get someone that fits more of their team, maybe a more consistent three-point shooter again. I don't know. I think the Rockets team has a lot to be desired. I think Christian Wood's great, but Eric Gordon is basically Eric Gordon and John Wall, when he's healthy, are their best scorers otherwise. So I think they need to do something with that. I think that's not a playoff team as is, or maybe they skirt in on the 8th seed or something like that. But I think they need someone else who's a top contender on that team to be actually good. And I don't think they have that right now. And I think they could get closer if they trade Oladipo for someone.
Okay, I see you. Yeah, I actually don't really like the Oladipo fit at all. I don't think he's like his play style is too similar to everyone on that team, where it actually won't help anyone. I think he's gonna have to accept the second place role again. Sadly, I know he was dominant when he was with the Pacers, but the injury was too devastating for us to be very reliable on him again. Sadly, but I think the real big move Houston has to make is to get PJ Tucker out of there. Get him on a contender. We want our boy with a title this year, all right? Get him to the Brooklyn Nets, okay? That's what we're doing here. Speaking of contenders, we have your boy who was very heavily criticized prior to the season. And as soon as he started dropping 40 points a game, everyone starts jumping on his coattail at that point. Zach LaVine basically playing phenomenal, probably the best Bull on that roster, to be honest. And with that being said, I think his trade value is very high. Do you think that he gets traded to a contender this season, or do you think he's going to get traded at all, or somewhere trash?
I think it's definitely possible that he does get traded to a contender. Again, his trade value is very high. He's a good scorer, everything like that. But I think it's the right move to not trade him and to trade other people and make him the face of your team now and build around him. Like, screw Patrick Williams and Kobe White and those guys for now. Like, I mean, don't like drop him or anything like that, but like just make LaVine your face, the guy you build your team around, and then go from there. Don't trade your best player for someone to come in and have brand new chemistry and have to like learn your system and everything like that. Like, LaVine's been around, he knows the system, he has good chemistry with everyone now that we got a new coach in Billy Donovan, which Billy Donovan and Zach LaVine I think is perfect. I think that is why LaVine is doing so well. He has a new coach that he really likes and who gets along with him and who knows how to coach him. I'm selling on this. I hope they don't. I think it's a good move for the Bulls to keep him and build around him. That's it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I'm going to sell too. I think there's just no reason to sell. Like kind of going along your lines where everything's the first year for everything. You have new management, new coach, and you have similar team. Let's just run it back. Let's just see what happened. It seems very clear Lauri Markkanen, he didn't get offered the extension, so he will not be there come next season unless they match with restricted offer. And to me, I don't even think he gets traded. I don't think any Bull gets traded because it's not really worth it. And there's no reason to even engage in any trades at this point. Unless it's something very stupid. If Zach LaVine was to get traded to a contender, which team would go for him?
I think, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if this works, and I don't know if it's a contender necessarily, but I think him on the Mavs would actually work pretty well as another person that, in addition to Luka, so Luka doesn't have to carry the entire team on his back. And I think him and Luka could be really interesting. Otherwise, what about him on the Heat?
The Heat, that'd be interesting. He, Jimmy Butler, Bam. I mean,
exactly.
Zach LaVine has improved his shooting a lot compared to over the years. He's not just a dunk guy anymore, but
yeah,
that'd be interesting. I think that's the fire that the Heat might need in terms of someone who can just slash into the paint, or someone that can just get hot off of just quick shooting. And I think that's what Zach LaVine was. I mean, we saw that over the past few years. That's what he was good at. He could just get hot really quick. He's a spark plug at that point. But that would be very interesting to see. And I think that could actually put Miami very close to the top four, I think. I think he's that good of talent to improve that team. So that would be interesting to see. Speaking of what your hoodie represents, the Lakers, do you think they can get even scarier by making one more big move, or do you think they're good right now?
I think they're pretty good as is. But if they had a big three, that would be very scary. I think their problem right now is they don't have a good scoring big man. They don't have a guy who, like a Rudy Gobert or an Andre Drummond, who can consistently. I mean, yes, you have Anthony Davis, but Anthony Davis has been inconsistent especially with inside scoring this year. I don't know why. He just hasn't been outputting as many points as he normally is on a regular basis. So I think if you could get, I don't know, I like Marc Gasol as a center, especially for like defensively. But Montrezl Harrell on your bench is so inconsistent. Like, he'll come out and play 20 minutes and score 20 points sometimes, and then he'll come out the next game, play 20 minutes and score 0 points. I think the Lakers have a lot of paint presence right now, but I think they kind of could use a little more like actual offensive right under the basket presence. And I think because Anthony Davis isn't there right now for some reason, and I don't know why.
Gotcha. Okay. So you're gonna buy or sell on this one?
I'm lightly buying. I think they could really get to that actual super team dynasty level if they got one more person. Right now, I think they're the best team in the NBA, but I think they're vulnerable still.
Yeah, this one's tough. I think they're capable of doing it, but I don't think they will actually do it. So I'm gonna sell on this too. I even think like even have a Zach LaVine on that team could be very, very good.
I do like that.
Just in terms of like alternating the rest between LeBron James and Anthony Davis pretty consistently, that it'd be nice to have someone that's more a little bit younger and more consistent. Averaging like the 35 minutes a game, 38 minutes a game. I think that's someone that you need, and I think that'd be a good role. I don't know if they have the assets to really trade for someone like that. I mean, they got to dump like Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, and some other assets at that point. So I don't see it being possible, or they're going to even do it. But I must say, I think the team's pretty scary. I think they're just tired, really. They just came off the championship, and they're running it back. And to be honest, they're still the second seed in the West, so that's still a phenomenal basketball on their end. The guy that we've mentioned over the past 3 episodes, basically, Bradley Beal, has mentioned that he wants to stay in DC. I think the idea is that he wants to be that guy where like they ask him for input moving forward. He wants to be the LeBron. He wants to be like kind of like a Russ at that point. But we're seeing that the team just got like worse and worse and worse. We all predicted the Wizards might be better than the Houston Rockets, and that's a complete turn at that point. Russell Westbrook has not been healthy. It's a real shame because Russell Westbrook in Houston would played very well for what he was traded for, and it's not looking good for them. But are you buying or selling that Bradley Beal will get dealt to the West Coast, to a West Coast team?
I'm selling on this. I think Bradley Beal stays because he said he doesn't want to move, and then I don't think the Wizards have any reason to trade him if he wants to stay. I think they're going to try and hold on to him for as long as they can. I mean, he's still scoring 35 points a game almost.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Wizards have any reason to trade him away, even if they get a lot for him. I think they just need to completely rebuild their team around him, unfortunately. And I think they tried to do that with the Russ trade, but that clearly didn't work out that well. So I think you try and change gears as quick as you can. And I think they just need to go on. It sucks because it feels like they've been rebuilding for so long, but I think they kind of need to restart again, which is.
No, I agree. I'm actually going to buy on this. I think someone in the West, I'm telling you, Golden State has the assets to do it. They had the Timberwolves pick again. Think about that. Timberwolves are the worst team in the NBA. So that they should have just won the D'Lo trade at that point. And honestly, I just think they need more formidable scoring that like you should be scared of. I'm not afraid of Juan Toscano Anderson. He's our boy. But I'm not scared of him at that point. Steph Curry is the only thing I fear at this point. Draymond Green is not there anymore in terms of scoring. He doesn't even take any threes anymore, which is like a huge drop in his ability. But I think they have the assets. And I think there's teams in the West that had the assets that need it. Maybe it's even a Mavericks that make a move somehow. I don't think they have the right assets to do it either. But maybe they give up their first round pick pending the Knicks don't get it. And, send KP or send something else to get Bradley Beal. Because Bradley Beal is on the wrong team. He wants to be there, but if I'm the Washington Wizards, I'm going to sell high on this because the man's back-to-back 33, 35 points per game. I'm going to sell high because if you're going to rebuild, you have the assets to rebuild. Get Russell off 2 more years, basically, and you should be good to go to work with this team. So I'll buy on this. Speaking of utter nonsense and about the forming of big threes, do you think another big three will be formed by a trade deadline?
I don't think so. I think the only team that's close enough to make it happen is the Lakers right now. And I don't think if they make a trade, I don't think it's going to be for another big star. So I'm selling on this. I think maybe the Sixers might be able to do it. If you classify Ben Simmons as a big person, which I don't, but you could make an argument for like Embiid, Simmons, and some other star if they got one. But I don't think the Sixers I don't think need to do anything. I think the Sixers have a really good team, really good core. as long as everyone stays healthy, they're in good shape. So I don't see it happening anywhere else right now. Yeah, I'm selling on this.
Selling, okay. Yeah, I think I'm also gonna sell. And I think this offseason is gonna be, or not offseason, this trade deadline is gonna be very quiet. I just don't think there's any moves to really make. I know like everyone's available, but it's like I think everyone is already just confused at how the season's going so far that they kind of just want to like just weigh it out and then see what the offseason will tell them at that point. So yeah, I'm gonna sell on this as well. We're in our last leg here. Are you buying or selling that the Mavericks will dump KP for like literally bigger presence, like an actual big man?
Buying 100%. They need to get KP out of there. As long as they don't have a big presence, they're gonna be bad still, I think.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think, like I said, I mentioned before, I think Luca's game was modeled to work with a pick and roll, and they lost Dwight Powell for like the end of the season with an Achilles injury, and they're just not doing it anymore. And the thing is, a lot of their big men pick and roll out into the 3 point line, and they don't make the three. So it's like at that point, what are we utilizing these guys for? For me, it's I'd have a big guy get a lob city at that point, and he would just dunk on these hoes. So I would buy. I don't think they'll do it, but I would. If I were the Mavericks, I would buy right now and just get KP out because it's not working. It is not working at all. I'm glad we traded those other two fools on our podcast because they would be bashing us right now. But we need to get them out of here right now. Speaking of also more nonsense, Julius Randle, crazy, crazy good for this Knicks roster. Do you think that the Knicks should be traded right now, or do you think they should just coast and build with him?
I think coast and build with him. I think you got a pretty young team overall. I think if you can keep, they're making a lot of improvements already. Like they're substantially a better team this year than they were last year. And I think again they got a lot of young guys. I think if you keep those young guys and just try and have them kind of go through this year as like a trial by fire kind of thing, and they're doing well. Just keep teaching them as much as you can. And I think even next year already, we'll see even more improvement as long as everyone kind of stays and is learning. I think Julius Randle's kind of like a Zach LaVine. Like, yeah, you could trade him at really high value right now, but I think he's the guy you want to build your team around at this point.
That's a good point. I think we've noticed that the Knicks are revitalized. They're 10-13, and they're currently considered a 10 or an 8th seed. I told you they're going to be a 3rd seed. I'm telling you. I think I said 6th seed, but we'll call it 3rd seed for now. Like I said, I think it's a culture shift in the New York Knicks. They made some changes in management as well. And I think Tom Thibodeau is the perfect coach for this team because I think the players that are on here just need to be guy with just tough love. And I think that's what Tom Thibodeau can provide. And I think Julius Randle is, I think going along with what you're saying, I thought about we should just trade him now when he's high, but I think he's actually is the glue piece for this team. I think once he's gone, then this team completely falls apart just because there's a veteran presence that can actually ball out when you need him to. So I'm going to sell as well. I think that Julius Randle needs to stay in with the Knicks at least for the rest of the season. Lastly, we talked about the Wizards with Bradley Beal, and we talked about blowing out this team and try to rebuild. Do they need to get Russell Westbrook out of there now? And if so, is it even doable?
I don't know. I think they got to get him out of there. I think you keep Bradley Beal, you keep Denny, you keep Rui, and like Bertans if you can, and then you basically try and get rid of everyone else or as many other people as you can and just kind of restart. That way you have Bradley Beal, you have your scorer, you have Rui as this younger guy, but who still knows the team and the like franchise a little bit. And then you have your rookie in Denny who could be good in a year or two, depending on how he develops. But I think overall they really got to change up what they're doing. This team is not good. When your best big guy is like Robin Lopez, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah. No, this team does not look good. Like I said, it completely a shambles just based off what we predicted. We thought they were going to try to win this trade. I just think it's disappointing because I think Westbrook could actually ball out. It's just he's just been silent with these injuries, and I think that's going to be permanent injuries now moving forward. I don't think this guy can play more than half a season. It's a real shame. I don't think anyone wants to trade for this Russell Westbrook contract unless there's like severe like first round picks involved. But do you think magically, if Westbrook was on the San Antonio Spurs, do you think he would have a better career to finish off?
That's a good question. I actually, yeah, I do, because I think the Spurs kind of fit. I don't know, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm torn, because the Spurs are such a in my mind, like a team, a team-oriented team. Like, that sounds dumb, but everyone kind of does their role and does their role well. And Russell Westbrook doesn't really fit into that kind of mindset. Like, he plays to win the game, whereas the Spurs play to be a good team, and by doing that, they win games, and they are a good team. I don't know. I feel like I'm not making a whole lot of sense, but I don't know if Russell Westbrook is a good fit for the Spurs, or if the Spurs would kind of elevate him to where he actually is, and how good he actually is. I'm not sure. I want to go with the latter. I want to say if he was on the Spurs, he would be better and be more consistently good.
Yeah, and I think we would all agree. I think there's just something about like the Spurs culture, and I think just a lot with Popovich that he just somehow is able to like get to everyone and like literally like touch their heart, and they're like, "All right, you're gonna be this guy," and I was like, "Okay, we're good, we're done." Like DeMar DeRozan having a phenomenal season, like for a guy I sold like 8 episodes ago. LaMarcus Aldridge taking a downturn at this point, but I think everyone's understanding their role, like you said, and I don't know if Russell Westbrook has the mentality to do that, and that's not a question of his ability. I just think that that's just the way, when he became the face of OKC after Kevin Durant left, it was just about him. So it's just like self-inflated himself that he didn't have to change his game. But I don't know. Maybe the Spurs could change up things. I don't want the contract personally, but my last question is, what will be the biggest name that happens during trade deadline? Team or player?
I think either KP or Westbrook or Beal. I think one of those kind of 3 people. I don't see a lot of the teams that are doing well. I don't see them trading a lot. Like, I don't see. Again, Lakers might make a trade, but I don't think it would be for anyone big. I think it might be like a minor kind of like bench trade. And same with a lot of the teams that are doing well. So I think if it's going to be a big trade, it's going to be someone on a bad team like the Wizards or the Mavs this year.
No, that's interesting. For me, I think the team that's going to make the move is the Clippers. I think the Luke Kennard trade did not pan out. I think they're going to win the trade for at least some sort of assets. It may not be the quote-unquote maybe superstar all-star, but I think they can get some extra pieces that can actually fit, But I guess we'll have to see. This will be interesting. It's going to be either really hit or miss in this trade deadline. Like, it's either like everyone's getting out or like no one's going to do anything. Everyone's just very skeptical of the season.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to see. But that's all on me. So take us out.
Well, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram for God tier memes from yours truly. A lot of Clippers hate as well. So, especially Paul George. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, blah, 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 social media. Yeah. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, watch us on YouTube, and we're on Anchor, other podcast sites that I don't know. But yeah, thanks for listening, and yeah.
And yeah. And yeah. And yeah.